with 100% possibility, we can tell you as to whether you will have a heart attack or not, whether your kidneys will fail or not, your liver will fail or not. Then not only that, we do a root cause analysis. Starting from a test or a blood test, we run our engines, which are the most sophisticated engines in the planet. So it is not just a diagnosis of test on a Perplexity or ChatGPT. You are outsourcing your health to me.
You're talking about disrupting how things have been so far as healthcare is concerned, in the sense that until now, it's all been about managing somebody who's sick, mentally or physically. You're talking about the fact that, preempting that, in the sense that if you have a history, you take this test and you can prevent the onset of disease. Is that what you're saying?
This whole industry is created around sick care. That means if you don't fall sick, you don't go to a doctor. If you don't fall sick, what will happen to the hospitals? The whole business model is built around sick care. So we are wanting to transform that completely. These are things which we are testing in health benches. AI has become the language of healthcare, frankly. Healthcare as of now is a practice, it's not a science. We want to move it away.
On this edition of HT Podcast, we will speak to Sid Das, a deep tech entrepreneur, architecting scalable innovations across energy, AI, and health. Through eGenome.ai and Bespoke Wellness, he's driving a bold vision where biomarkers and artificial intelligence come together to revolutionize preventive healthcare.
AI has found myriad applications, from finance to agriculture, and with each passing day, it is revolutionizing how we have been doing things for decades. In some cases, even centuries. Timelines are collapsing as a result, and sharper, more accurate solutions are emerging. Take healthcare, for example. Traditionally, when you feel off mentally or physically, you go to a doctor. If they cannot diagnose the issue through a stethoscope, tongue examination, and pulse check, they order tests. You wait for results, and only then you're prescribed medicines. Now, a growing number of people are self-diagnosing using AI tools. I'm not recommending it. In fact, I would strongly discourage you from doing so. But reality is that many already are. On a more serious level, however, serious medical research is being actively aided by AI. So I thought, why not speak to someone who knows the space, who's actually working in it, and try to understand how far AI has come in medicine and what ground it might cover in the future. I'm joined by Sid Das, co-promoter of eGenome.ai, which is an AI-powered preventive healthcare platform and bespoke wellness. Sid, welcome. Thank you for taking out the time and doing this.
Thanks.
Sid, so right off the bat, let's start, by talking about eGenome.ai. Why don't you, for the benefit of our viewers, explain what eGenome.ai does in the first place?
You see, eGenome.ai is an app. In the app, below that is a mountain of AI and technology. One. Second, what it does is, the process is as follows. It takes a blood test and then we run our AI engines on top of that. The AI engines constitute of the following. One is that we have a vulnerability testing. That means with 100% possibility, we can tell you as to whether you will have a heart attack or not. With 100%, very close to 100% probability as to whether your kidneys will fail or not, your liver will fail or not. Then not only that, we do a root cause analysis. When we do a root cause analysis, and it's very personalized on that blood testing report, which works on healthy database of 500,000 people with 10,000 parameters for each person. And then we say that, look, this is the diet, supplement and lifestyle, which is another kind of AI, agentic AI, as you know, engine, which is running, which can say for you specifically to cure yourself so that you will not have a heart attack, with the possibility again of very close to 100%, what is the diet, supplement and lifestyle which is required for you. This is what the engine is. So, that if you take this kind of test and go through this whole process about over a span of time, then you will not fall ill, number one. Number two is your vulnerabilities will become close to zero. We also do cancer testing for women, breast and ovarian, and a few others, and even for men, and therefore your chances of having cancer becomes very, very low, and it is predictive. So, starting from a test or a blood test, we run our engines, which are the most sophisticated engines in the planet. So, it is not just a diagnosis of a test on a perplexity or chat GPT, which says that I have a stomach upset or a headache. That is not what it is. It is predictive. It is all encompassing. You are outsourcing your health to me, and then you are focusing on your wealth creation. So, it is not that health is wealth, health is outsourced to me, wealth is wealth, you know. So, you kind of create your own wealth. So, this is what the engine is. The second is bespoke wellness. When we went out on this quest, we saw that, well, there were no good foods, and food is medicine, foods and supplements in this planet. So, I designed my own food and supplement, and I branded it. You know, I did it for my extended family first, then it is all over the world. It's a rage in Dubai, it's a rage across the Middle East, frankly, and we launch in the US. So, therefore, in those markets where it's a microcosm of the planet, you see, of maybe that kind of the global north, as they call it. So, therefore, and it's also available here. So, eGenome.ai, which is the engine which does the predictive and personalized kind of intervention, and the bespoke wellness, which is designed by drug discovery engine, which is an AI engine, where kind of you have this personalized nutraceuticals, all plant based, all natural plant kind of foods and nutraceuticals, that is specifically for you.
All right.
This is the kind of compass, the many dimensional compass, which I thought.
Sure. So, let me, I mean, there are multiple threads which emerge out of what you just said, but let me sort of, pull you back a little bit and speak from the point of view of somebody who is thinking of, I mean, let's say somebody who has a family history of some kind of a cancer, all right, or some kind of, some other disease, for example, let's say heart attack, right? And that individual wants to figure out whether he or she also is prone to it or not. So, what does that person do? I mean, she goes on the platform. Yes. Can you just explain the process to us?
Exactly. So, what she does is, that goes to her app, which is extremely user friendly, you know. So, and registers on our app, okay, which is very easy to do, and pays only 1,000 rupees per month. That, just imagine, I have kind of, with all these engines running, all this predictive power, I have kept it as affordable as can be. So, pays only 1,000 rupees per month, and then registers and takes a blood test. All the blood testing, the cancer testing, the smart weighing machines, everything is part of this 1,000 rupees per month. Just imagine.
Okay.
Once she has taken that test, okay, as part of this process, okay, then we take those blood test report. And
so, does someone from the team goes to the home of that person to collect the samples?
In fact, the sample collection, everything is done at home. Okay. So, only thing she has to do is book a slot. That's it.
Okay.
After that, it's kind of, that's the only action. That's my hassle after that. The blood testing, which is kind of, there are many done by some of these kind of large blood testing companies.
Yeah.
Once it is done by them, the report comes to us, okay. And once the report comes to us, we run our AI engines on that. Once we run our AI engines, all the things which we have, which I told you, that means whether you have a CVD risk, whether you have liver and kidney, and kind of, and how to prevent that, what are the drug, what are the kind of, supplements, diet and lifestyle that you have to take, and we assign a health coach. It's a dietitian or a doctor who's assigned to you, full time, meaning full time in the sense full time as you need it, full time for you types, whenever as per your need, and then and guides you through that process and then after 6 months we do the testing as part of this process, and then you will see that you have gone from kind of negative to -100 to +100, and people who have taken our kind of our program have transformed completely they don't fall ill, Abhishek, and I can that's the kind of guarantees which we can see, which we can think. And number one and number two is that the heart attack risks, which were generally the fatalities due to heart attacks,
Yep.
that has reversed, and now with a 100% possibility, we say close to 100%, then they will not have a heart attack.
Okay.
You see.
So say that person, did this test and got the samples tested and the results came out, right? And I'm sure at some point in time, he or she would also, think about going to her usual set of doctors that they approach, right? What's the reaction of the doctors as far as, somebody who goes with your test done on eGenome.ai, goes to a doctor? Some of those stories you must have heard, must have come back to you. So what's the response of the medical community, especially doctors, has been?
Abhishek, surprisingly, and surprising for many people at least, in fact, initially for me, that the profession itself is a very competitive profession, you see. So therefore, and they are very keen to understand as to what this AI animal is all about. Okay. Once explained properly, and that's that's why I have got a continuous medical education consistently across the country and across the planet, and including Dubai, where we are now, and then when we launch in the US. So when we have explained this concept and how much it can enhance their powers, the doctors have been very receptive. So, and that eases my job a lot. Then they take our test, run our engines, they say that yes, the engines need to be run, and they are some of the biggest prescribers of our nutraceuticals and our foods. Just imagine, doctors, diabetic doctors and several other doctors, segment doctors, prescribing cookies, for example, and at some stage I will talk about my cookies. You see what I am saying? So therefore, how food is medicine, as I said, and how these are complete foods. They heal your gut, they heal your arteries, they heal your gut, and they also prevent dementia, because dementia after all is type 3 diabetes, and anti-spike is some of the biggest drivers of dementia and heart health and gut health. In fact, what we have seen is that, just a takeaway, okay, that blood sugar is correlated more to heart attacks than anything else. Dementia, as they say, is type 3 diabetes, rightfully so, because that is correlated heavily to blood sugar. So my point is that there are these root causes which we will look at, and I just mentioned one. There are a myriad things for myriad people, for different people.
Right. See, so far, I mean, what I have gathered from the conversation that we've had is that you're talking about disrupting how things have been so far as healthcare is concerned, in the sense that until now, it's all been about managing somebody who's sick, mentally or physically, right? Somebody has a kidney condition, a doctor helps you manage it, you're prescribed a certain set of medicines, certain set of, things to do, certain lifestyle changes, and generally it is managed over a period of time. Your life becomes a little more convenient, but at the same time, the disease doesn't entirely go away, right? You're talking about the fact that, preempting that, in the sense that if you have a history, you take this test because you're feeling some kind of unease, and you can prevent the onset of disease. Is that what you're saying? Am I correct in my assessment of or my interpretation of what you've said?
Yeah, in fact, Abhishek, right. I'll just take give a contextual definition, if I might say, of what you said.
No, because the reason I ask you that question, and especially with that kind of phrasing, is because that is a very tall claim to make.
Let me just there'll be 2-3 parts in this.
Sure.
In the way I'll respond to you. One is that, look, medicine as such today is about sick care. That a person, if he falls sick, how to manage, as you said, his condition.
Right.
Think of it, that this whole industry is created around sick care. That means if you don't fall sick, you don't go to a doctor. If you don't fall sick, what will happen to the hospitals? The whole business model, if you is built around sick care.
Yeah.
So we are wanting to transform that completely and say that, look, I will make your health care, predictive, which is that I will say that you will, these are the ailments which you will get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line. For heart attack it's 5 years, okay, number one, and I said for the others also. Number two is that it will be precise for you, and I will talk a little about the engines. And third is that it will be very personalized. Okay, what will work for you, Abhishek, might not work for Rudra. You see what I am saying?
Yeah.
So which we know, as you said very rightly, brilliantly. In fact, that look, if the history of cancer care for cancer in the family, then I am more likely to get cancer. Precisely the point. So therefore, what I had prescribed for you is very different what I do for somebody else.
Yeah.
So now let me just quickly explain as to how we go about kind of achieving this. One is that, like a Chat GPT, for example, or a Perplexity, for example, is a language model. But what we use is 7 agents. Agents is a form of kind of either language models or neural networks. Okay. Some of the neural networks, okay, like the CVD thing which I said,
Right.
have work on very large databases which I mentioned. 500,000 people, healthy database, 10,440 parameters, and then they predict heart attacks, liver, kidney, and all these failures. Very importantly, some of these agents, they predict as to what is the root cause of ailment. As I said, kind of surprisingly, that sugar has a very large correlation with heart attacks and brain dementia. You see, which is quite unusual. Okay, but that is one of the takeaways. It can be very different for different. And then we have a diet, supplement, and lifestyle, very different engines. Okay, which say that what is the diet, supplement, and lifestyle required to reverse your condition and to make the best version of you. You see what I am saying? We don't have those wide kind of bands of parameters which are generally there in a blood test. It's very narrow, and and frankly, I am one of the best examples. Since I started this, I haven't fallen ill.
Which was how long ago, by the way?
That was about 2 years ago. We started this whole program and building the AI and the tech teams, etc. And I was first tested it on me. Now there are hundreds and hundreds of people who are using it. Frankly, their frequency of falling ill has reduced dramatically. All their CVD risks have become kind of close to zero. Their cancer risks have become dramatically lower, and these are not claims which I am making. These are things which we are testing in health benches. In fact, our model has been tested on a health bench which is made by kind of Chat GPT. It's an OpenAI health bench, and on that we are kind of number 1, number 2. Just imagine. So we are a kind of global company with a global product, and we'll see it that when we kind of when we go to kind of the Dubai, and which is a microcosm of the global north, how kind of attractive it is for people there. You see what I'm saying? So therefore, that's the transformation in people's lives. It's a spiritual quest for us. It's a as kind of I was.
Let me ask you. Let me ask you a personal question now.
Sure.
See, we have spoken about the platform. We've spoken about what the platform does, how it can help people. We've also spoken about how healthcare, has been the norms of the industry, etc., and how it has all been about managing sickness more than curing it or preventing it. Why would somebody like you? You have a certain background. It's very interesting, by the way. Somebody like you would get into this space, would want to do this. So let's talk a little bit about you at this stage.
Kind of, Abhishek, as a context, I kind of designed, developed, and deployed in some of the largest companies in this country, the largest electric truck on this planet Earth. Frankly, it was a pure electric truck, much larger than the Tesla, and I would therefore argue that much more complex.
Right.
and then we deployed it in many of these large companies. Okay. So once the kind of the innovation was done, and we had kind of deployed it in many places, then I divested completely. I had to get into AI, and I divested completely to the Murugappa group, led by Velan, who was an exceptional person, and there that had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of crores. So don't ask me how many.
That's where you made your big money.
So therefore, then instead of kind of buying a villa, buying island in Hawaii, I said that I had to get into AI, and then I saw contextually, compassionately, the suffering, the needless suffering, the needless deaths, which a lot in the pandemic, lot after the pandemic, and in normal. And my spiritual quest was to cure that. I had to address that. I had to kind of, I had to see to it. I said this was needless. And with AI, it was the first time in the history of mankind that we had the tool to kind of, to heal in the way that I spoke about. AI has become the language of healthcare. Frankly, healthcare as of now is a practice. It's not a science. We want to move it away for the first time in the history, and very comprehensively. It's not just one kind of meter. It is not just one, one segment. This is a holistic, a comprehensive kind of, way that we are addressing healthcare in a personalized and precise manner. Right. So therefore, also kind of, just to kind of conclude, but one has to have the innovativeness inside oneself. So that innovativeness came, I guess, when entrepreneurship innovativeness, when I was a kid, and I had these long walks with my Baba and Ma, and I heard a lot about Planck and Einstein and Newton, but frankly, I saw that while it has come for physics, that innovation has not come in medicine. It's been very practice led. It has not been first principles, not fundamental, and that is what we have the chance to do now.
It's been an interesting journey for sure, Sid. But towards the end, as we've been talking for a while, I would like to talk to you about some of the challenges that you might have faced in creating this platform, because at the end of the day, you're talking about health. People are serious about their health. In this country, in particular, education, health, these are things which people end up spending their fortunes on, right? And so something of this nature, when it comes along, it's not exactly where people would immediately want to, jump onto the bandwagon and, make changes to the way they've been doing things, right? Which is, like we talked about earlier, go to a doctor, get the test done, so on and so forth. So what were some of the challenges that you faced while you were starting this platform, and what are some of the challenges you're facing right now, and how are you dealing with them?
Well, I understood that there needs to be a paradigm shift in the way healthcare is addressed in this planet. That was clear to me, and therefore that's the reason I got into healthcare, AI and healthcare. And as I said, that AI is going to be the language of healthcare and transform healthcare from a kind of sick care kind of institution to a predictive, preventive, personalized, precise system. Now, number one. Second, having said that, I had to build the agentic AI and the orchestrator on top of it, plus the drug discovery engine, which will discover the kind of food and the nutraceuticals, which are all plant based. Okay, so these engines had to be developed. Then only I could go forward and convince people. It's a spiritual quest for me, and that comes across very clearly to the people I speak to. For that to happen, I had to get to the best team, kind of, as I say, the best team in the planet. Okay, so and in this team I have in this team we have Subodh, who's a creative genius. Okay, number one. Number two is that there is Neil, who is in fact has done his masters with an MIT prof, and he is one of the best in this in the AI team. And there is Atik, who is not only a very good, he is from IIT Kanpur, and not only a good and great technical guy, but also that his artistic sense is fantastic, because it has to be relatable to people, and the tech has to be relatable to people. And under that, there is this gang, as I call it, the gang of IIT Delhi, which sits beneath. Without that team, it's impossible to create such a beautiful kind of platform, such a beautiful technology. In the front end is the app. So therefore, the app tells you is so user friendly. Once you register, then it tells you that well, you haven't taken your supplement. Not only that, that you need to take this supplement at this time, both the macro as well as the micro and the vitamins, everything, you know, it's in 3 parts basically. The vita, you know, which is the vitamins, vitamins, and the second is the phyto, meaning the phyto, which is a specific cure for that, and the gut related. So there are 3 dimensions, and then it says that look, you have not taken, therefore your absorption is such percentage of what it would have been. You know, you would have been at 99% today, but you are at 68 because you missed it. Now to make up, you have to do this. These supplement, this macronutrient goes with this micronutrient. The app can tell you, you know, that level of detail, and that's why I say it's very personalized. So that is the personalized and precise thing which we get. So it's not just kind of, you know, a pie in the sky, not something which we talk about. It is in this app. It is relatable to you. It is specific for you.
Let me talk to you about an important issue, and that is, of course, the issue of data protection, because somebody's medical data, which they will share with you invariably as they come on your app, it is a private affair at the end of the day, right? So what are some of the safeguards you've put in place to ensure that that doesn't get shared anywhere? Because that's not been the case with a lot of other companies which have access to people's personal data. So what have you done on that front?
Well, I will talk about the regulatory issues, the GDPR, the HIPAA, and the DPDP, which is for which you know are for US, EU, and India respectively. So kind of obviously there's conformance. Otherwise, I couldn't not only India, but I couldn't launch in Dubai definitely. Okay, number one. But I'll talk. That is not the driver. The first thing is look at the tech. The tech looks at anonymous data. You see, the AI, it looks at anonymous data. It does not look at specific person data.
So my data is not specifically tied to my profile.
The data is not required to be tied to a profile. It becomes anonymized.
Okay.
That
so
is
it's
when
not tied to my name. It's not tied to my phone
number. That is when I can run the patterns. It is not tied to your phone number or your address or your name. Number one.
Okay.
Now that is the tech. That is that I don't not need it. Number one. Number two is second is that look, that it's an existential issue for me. That in case I take that risk at all, then I don't need to. But even if I do it, then it's then kind of the kind of bad name which I'll get will be kind of difficult to come over. Yeah. Number three is that we are GDPR compliant, we are DPDP compliant, we are HIPAA compliant. We are not only compliant for India, we are compliant for the EU and we are compliant for the US. That is why we have launched in Dubai and with all the compliances, and that is why we will be launching in the US in the near future. Right. So therefore, kind of first is that from a tech perspective, I need anonymized data. You see what I'm saying? So therefore,
okay, no, that's good to hear. But on that note, Sid, thank you so much for taking out the time and explaining what's happening in the world of healthcare, how it is being disrupted, how AI is playing its role, and doing that comprehensively. In the subsequent conversations, we will talk about some more things in a more detailed manner. But for this conversation, thank you so much. Thank you.